First of all, I'm going to start reading to you from a chapbook that I did last year called Moth Dust. This is what I call my read-only copy, and it has scribbles inside and lipstick on the cover. It's available without those things. But yeah, so I just thought I'd read a few of them, because even though these are actually poems that I have read before, but I think I can read them better this time. Okay. And unfortunately, I don't have backstories for most of these things, because if I tried to do that, it would just be a lot of umming and ahhing and stuttering, so make up your own. Okay, so the first poem is called An Impossibility of Crows. Spitting watermelon seeds outside, unable to root themselves into concrete, translation of the seed sense is, at optimum, the converse of brocade. All of the threads present, though aching from the absence of subtlety that will never flourish, chances, cage seeks bird, perch chase, crow's assertion of the singularity of crow, dismantling firmament, irrespective of the sentiment of seeds that would trade the sky and subterrane, see that seeds and crows are indistinguishable. The second poem I'm going to read for you is called Indigent. The local council want to cut down his mother's memorial tree to build a car park where it was planted. Warm but uninhabited, he protests the plans in what used to be a phone booth, but during construction is injured and loses his leg, a spool of thread. The council continues regardless, and the man's prosthetic leg is made from his mother's memorial tree. Aberrant, they walk through the car park together. The third poem I'm going to read for you does have a brief backstory about the title, because you can't see it on the page. Excuse me, it's called Apollo, but it's space, so it's like a hollow, but it's also pollo, which is Spanish for chicken. And in short, it's a poem about not knowing how to cook chicken. Send me to seek death preserved in plastic coffin, wild chicken hunt, forensic fridge, disembodied corpse parts stacked mournful to me, but you can eat as you wish. I'm businessless, but I'd one cremate or two, make poison from rotten chicken flesh. Never taught, never wanted, so needless, but you need to eat. I can't, you won't cook it. You'd sooner have hunger than get it up yourself, starved from the open casket we lay in, furnace can make kitchen mausoleum, formaldehydless mortuary. Teach me how bodies can give life, embalmed in spice and oil, and careless of death surrounding. Partial cremation, boneless, so earnest, passing between chopsticksless. Just cook, eat the chicken, you fuck. And then just one last poem from this one. It's called Ephemera. Or ephemera. Yeah, ephemera. I also decide how to intonate things. Lapsed into silence, child's eyes on the rain-soaked roads. He's hiding, ever-changing, remorseless, soft touch, disconnect. I remember standing, odd chance, early grave somewhere. My words as moth dust. Softly scathing glimmer, majoritively abhorrent, ambivalence to morbidity, such levity even in the silences. Ghost films taken in the morgue, those moments spent sprawling. It's nice to see someone set on fire where I'd be colder. And that's the end of this book, but I am not done. So I actually have a pamphlet called Immurement with Broken Sleep books that's technically released today. Hooray! But unfortunately, I don't have physical copies of it, so I am reading off my phone. But you know, I feel bad that you can't see, even though it's not, you know, a really exciting cover or anything, but it's about this big, and it's pale blue, and it has dark red writing on it, and that's it. And I don't know why I wanted to tell you that, but I have. So enjoy that image. Okay. So, first poem is actually, it's one of my favourites in the book. I don't really do backstories, but I like this poem a lot, and I hope you do. It's called Acorn as a Bird. A conceptualised childhood. Could seagulls ride carousels that raise them on enamel? What does the colour grey convey when you grew as an ostringer? Its falconer without the falcon mounted on the mantle. Did it overbalance? Though there's no concept, could mistaken aggression in case of gravity toppling. Though to acorn your ideas in a dog's bowl, euphemistic of loneliness. Are you assigning an owl in lieu of a seagull to triangulate between Chekhov without a lake to lay it there? The second poem I'm going to read is called Inuium, which isn't actually a word, so it's difficult to say. Apparent about the longer fates, it is as water to the television, The lean assurances I pale to lack, that and mittens introduced as how fruit leaves church necks and drifts like if it's red or red. Laid the other jaw to lands with your want of pursued, which this bed today lets sorry for, a rusted mind doesn't colour, as with the endless seagulls again, all after never with the raw worth. With you it is not no mocking jure, and you left let in facilitating, no to the burning of near-warming spread with knees 4 and 4. I'm open with 13 years to go if punishment remain to imagine a way of not punishment. Don't sleep, stay next to well enough, stay next by setting frailer light perhaps. And I've just realised that Sarah said I could talk more about the pamphlet, and I've forgotten that, so I will tell you a bit more about the pamphlet, even though it is not here. When I started writing it, immurement is it's this old way of executing people, which sounds very grim. It's just breaking them into the room and just leaving them to die. So initially I started just writing about the interior in the sense of, buildings, but then it broadened into the interior in a wider sense, such as the interior of the mind and just the way we can immure ourselves, I guess. I don't know why I decided to do that in the middle of reading your poems, but there you go. The next poem is called Frontispiece. A reliance on cygonology, the study of jawbones, its definitive edges, somehow secondary tonation in ink, the perspective of the outside shell as you would see something that is horizontal, as you would see it differently in depth, negative, space, a carapace somehow seen from above. This maybe doesn't fit with that, though touches of things reminiscent, translucency, ebbing, sewn, constraint. Moriscant means pinning needles, needless wings, the shoulder curve. In its lean idealism, I want to reveal things. I do. And the next poem is called Sleepless Aside. An actor who wears a stuffed toy is called a stuffed toy. Degradation which goes around pretty appearance is a problem. Feeling the insides moulded to resemble animals, certain, first is said to be the first, making limbs or lower limbs, sewing a cloth cut according to the paper pattern used to replicate the coat sensation on the actor, entering perused by a forbearance, that there is a healing effect to charm regardless. And next poem is called Albumum, which I believe, because I'm not that great at coming up with titles, I tend to just think about roughly, in the simplest terms, what the poem's about, and then find a vaguely fancy sounding word associated. So, and if I remember correctly, albumen is the white of an egg. Yeah. A way of walking was said, telling the position in juxto, impressing a shell, the shard between finger and thumb, translucent where there's one for transparent, taut though lacking collection, some sense seen slipping. Is the borrowed arm a comfort? Something fell for a fraction, noted even in the strip lighting, though it's not unflattering. Opaque could mean the same, misnomering feather for filter, but soften exhalation. And I have one final poem, and then I am done. This is called Tilted. Skirts surrounding breakage, head tap and its protege again, protected towards antonomy, tender extends over edges, footage of the staircase lifted, the light flickers between seats, you flicker back. There's always someone to keep company, that doesn't exist first and falls sustained. Snow sits an elongated vowel apart from courage, and yet you have neither put the stories A and B in parallel just by invalidating the time axis. It is as it is imagined. A very radical squid in the 1980s, very impressive. Cut the faces off of 300 crabs, styrofoam vocal cords. That day never went sound. Thank you.